There has been a desire in recent times to evaluate the importance of the Word of God and of preaching. The institution of this past Sunday as the Sunday of the Word of God is a reminder of this. Alas, there still is in the air a certain shyness about preaching. One apologizes for going on beyond 5 minutes. This is unfortunately a complete departure from our own heritage and tradition, for many orders were founded with preaching in view. One thinks of the influence of great Dominicans, Redemptorists, Passionists, Franciscans, and others actually founded explicitly to do missionary work with great preachers, teachers, and indeed martyrs in their ranks. For centuries, there were high points of preaching. One would have been Lent. One thinks of the sermons at Notre Dame in Lent, where the greatest preachers of the whole of France were invited to come and occupy the pulpit and draw the crowds. We need preaching and powerful preachers in our time more, not less, than in past centuries, for otherwise they will be preached at by others, and that can be now on screens. In 1917, the very year when Our Lady showed the little children certain truths about the consequences of sin, the Supreme Pontiff of the time, Benedict XV, published an interesting document on preaching specifically the Word of God. It was on June the 15th. And he has this to say, which has lost none of its relevance. Hence, he delivered to them all Christ's doctrines and precepts. Here he's talking about the apostle to the Gentiles, St. Paul. Even the most severe, neither passing them over, nor whittling them down. And he gives a list: humility, self-denial, chastity, contempt of the world, obedience, forgiveness of injuries, and the like. And this without timidity. For men must choose between God and Belial, since they cannot serve both. And he goes on. A terrible judgment awaits each one at his death. We cannot drive a bargain with God. Either we shall obey his law completely and gain everlasting life, or we shall obey our passions with no other prospect but eternal fire. This is not at all what we are led to believe. One has just to listen in to what is being said at our average funeral. Such and such is obviously in a better place. Even Padre Pio pleaded that he not be thought of as a saint, for he knew what that meant for his soul. And indeed, it would seem that even he had a tiny moment in purgatory. If that is the case, what awaits us? And what awaits the average gentleman in the casket, who, of course, is supposed to be in a better place? He would perhaps plead, if he could talk, that people didn't canonize him there, but prayed for mercy for his soul. As regards bargaining with God, we need to be careful that we don't invite people to hell. We know the blessing that the Lord gave to Sodom. It was very warm. We need to be clear that an individual soul needs to be cared for and loved and blessed. But it is the soul that is blessed, and not any sin that it may be involved in. We need to be very careful that we don't make of Christ's doctrine a ticket to hell.